If you are driving down Sierra Highway to take the back roads out of town by hitting Pearl Blossom Highway, you will pass one of the most talked about places when it comes to paranormal activity and mysteries in the Antelope Valley. Lake Una, located south of the city of Palmdale and immediately east of the reservoir Lake Palmdale, is a small lake or pond. Although the presence of such a body of water is remarkable within the arid desert environment, it appears otherwise uninteresting on first seeing its placid water and rather typical local vegetation. But of course, it has its stories. It is said that people approaching the lake at night have encountered a dark figure in clothing that appeared to be a fisherman's, telling them in slurred speech to leave the area. People have also reported seeing dark figures climbing into the trees and vanishing at night. In addition to these ghostly phenomenons, some locals tell of a strange creature, never described, that sometimes emerges from the lake to devour whatever animal it can lay hand or teeth on. The lake is reputed to be bottomless, and it has been claimed that at least one diver has vanished while looking for the bottom, and that bodies of murdered victims have been dumped in the lake, never to be seen again. One story even holds that a school bus once ran off the Sierra Highway immediately adjacent to the lake, and neither it nor the driver or children in it were ever found. Should you wish to enter the property, it is fenced off and private security has been known to patrol the area, so this is one that is best viewed from afar. Lake Una is what is called a rift lake or a sag pond. It sits on the San Andreas Fault, in a depression caused by the movement of the fault. Nearby Lake Palmdale is in a similar basin where a small natural lake has been turned into a large reservoir. Una Lake was originally much larger, consisting of the current small lake and some of the eastern area of the modern Lake Palmdale. The size would depend on the annual rainfall. In the 1870s, the Southern Pacific built a raised causeway for its tracks and roadway across the lake bed, isolating the eastern part of the lake, now the current Una Lake. Subsequently, in 1897, the South Antelope Valley Irrigation Company built a dam west of the railroad causeway and built a ditch from Little Rock Creek to keep Lake Una full year-round for irrigation purposes south of Palmdale. The size of the reservoir and Una Lake and these works can be seen in the 1915 U.S. Geological Survey, California Lake Elizabeth Quadrangle Topographic Map. Subsequently, the dam was improved and the larger Harold Reservoir, later named Lake Palmdale, was created in 1924. Una Lake is the lake that was there originally. The railroad was built across the narrow neck of that lake, isolating it from the rest. This can be seen on the 1915 Elizabeth Lake topographical map. In the 1920s, the dam was built and its reservoir flooded the old lake to the west, and it was renamed. The remaining Una Lake is the only remaining fragment. Rumor has it that the lake is considered bottomless. Anything that gets thrown in doesn't come back out. They say that the bottom of the lake is actually a volcano, which is why witnesses have seen bubbles coming up from the water. And because of that, people have witnessed fish with no eyes surface from the water. Allegedly, back in the 60s, a bus driver filled with children crashed into Una Lake and were left with no survivors, only the bus driver. One rumor has it that a stagecoach crashed into the lake and the remains were unfound. Another rumor that a diesel truck crashed into the lake and when divers were searching the truck, nothing was found. Allegedly, divers have died when looking for the bottom. They would get tangled from the weeds and drown. Another rumor has it that a woman on the south side of the lake had committed suicide. Witnesses have seen dangling feet from these trees. Some say that's why it is now fenced off to the public. Recently, some have seen dark figures jumping into the trees without a trace, and a white ghostly fisherman trying to scare you away. What do you think? Is Lake Una haunted? You tell me.